Once again, I always love that intro music provided to us by Restream. Again, it makes me feel like I'm in church. This is Darren with the virtual sessions coming to you live and direct for the DJ sessions. And I'm in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington. On the other side, on that side of the screen over there, we have none other than Boris coming in from Miami. How you doing today, Boris?
What's up, Darren? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It looked like you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend last weekend and got down at some parties.
Yep. We had a big event out in New York, actually, um, in Long Island. We did our annual. We do once a year a big classics event, and it was pretty massive.
Yeah.
And the rest of the weekend, I kind of just hung out with some friends, spent it in New York.
I saw that post, and what always resonates with me. I've only been to New York City one time as an adult, and it was last year for my birthday, and I managed to make it out to the Brooklyn Mirage. And I always talk about my experience there and how I got to the top of one of the paraphrats or whatever it's called. It's like a castle there, and for the first time laid eyes on the Manhattan skyline. And a post that you put out there on 4th of July was that you were watching fireworks from the water this year over the Manhattan skyline. Well, I don't know how to explain it to people how powerful that is. I don't think television or movies do it justice in any way, shape, or form.
So it was actually my first experience seeing the fireworks on the actual water on my friend's boat. I've never done it. I've seen it from a distance, from a roof or whatever, but to actually be in the water and experiencing it, it was kind of surreal. It was so yeah, it was a first. It was an amazing experience. I recommend everybody do it or try to do it, or try to get out on the water in New York on 4th of July and experience it because it's magical.
Absolutely. And going into your DJ career, you've been doing this for quite some time now, about 30 years.
Yeah.
A little bit. About when I started listening to electronic dance music and going to clubs back in like 92. You are in your bio, I wanted to pull this out, is you're known to many as the DJ's DJ. How does that, how do you define the term? What does the term DJ mean to you? I guess I should say.
Entertainer of music. That's really what we are. We're entertainers of the dance floor, of the crowd. If you're not having a good night, most likely the crowd is not having a good night, and we've all been there. It's all about the vibe. And being a DJ for, as you said, 30 plus years, an experienced one at that. I've played all over the world, different cities, different countries, and you just get that, I would say, stigma by having the experience of doing it for so long, and other DJs kind of listen to you, and it's always inspiring. like hearing different jocks tell me, oh, I've been listening to you since I was since I was growing up and following you for since the Roxy or whatever, Crowbar, or whatever club, Pasha. And and then just, it's always, flattering to hear other DJs, other peers, basically telling you that.
And if you could describe your music in 3 words, what would you call it?
Uh, Big time energy.
Big time energy. Well, I was listening to is it Let It Roll?
Oh, let her all.
Let it hit, let it hit, let it hit, let it hit. I was listening to that right before, and I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I was like, yeah. I get what you're saying there. And you also own a label, correct? Transmit
I
Recordings.
Transmit Recordings. We've been going since 2015. We've had massive releases from many different producers, different DJs. Guys, even artists, like even rap artists such as Method Man or Ghostface Killer, um, different spectrums. I mean, we don't have one particular genre. If it's good, we'll sign it.
And the latest release, latest track that just came out was the Move Like EP by the duo Lucky Roll, correct?
Yes. So a couple of guys out of Texas, and they're making some noise. Some young guys, up and coming guys. Release is definitely making some noise, and it just came out this week.
What is one of the things that you think record labels should do? And if they do it, do they do it well?
Well, you should definitely. So I actually always have this discussion with like certain people. So me being like the owner, you should definitely always promote your label, your whether it's other productions, whether it's yours, it's still your label, and you should definitely try to push it and get it out there and market it as much as you can. Yeah, marketing from the artist, from you, from just the whole. Some DJs kind of keep it separate, like they'll have a label and they won't really push their label. They'll just let it just kind of like keep it going on its own. But as we know in today's world, you got to keep marketing and marketing and marketing.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with a couple people earlier this morning about social media and how it is now part of the overall mix, and you got to stay on top of that and always keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And there's been some blowback as of late. I was watching I was reading a story on a young female artist, and she had done a TikTok based upon the fact that her label wanted her to do a TikTok, but do something really controversial to get some hits, to get something out there. And she kind of said, wait a second, when did I become a social media manager? You're my label to promote my stuff. Not that I have my brand, but you shouldn't be telling me what to do, in a sense.
Right.
And that, that media mix that, again, the earlier interview, we were talking about, I also had seen a pie chart, and on one it was pie chart before social media and pie chart after social media has been introduced to the world. And the original pie chart was about 80% that the artist was focused on making music and doing their career and playing shows and all that fun stuff, and 20% of it was marketing. Now, after social media, it like flipped and was 80% social media and 20% talent and shows and doing everything. Right. It's just kind of crazy. I know you've seen that mix happen over the last 30 years. How is social media playing your life? Do you see it as a bonus or a hindrance?
No, I see it as a bonus. It's when I started, we really didn't have any social media. We basically had flyer promotions, and that was really it. Word of mouth, phone calls, whatever, getting your friends out. Now, you have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, the list goes on. So, you got to take advantage of it. It's the technology. It's what's happening. It's what kids are on. They're on social media. They want to see the latest track or mix.
Mhm.
You didn't really have SoundCloud or these other platforms that we could push our music out to, as well as artists. Pushing the artists, the labels, and it's a tool. It's a promotional tool, and we all have to embrace it and take advantage of it.
Mhm. And speaking about releasing and getting tracks out there, you do a show called Transmissions Radio, correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that show for? Because I think it
Oh,
was episode 445 was your latest.
I believe it was four. I got to, yeah, it sounds about right. 445. We've been doing it since 2016, and
Hmm.
we've had pretty much almost all the top guys, everyone you could almost name, from Hot Since 82s to the Pacos Asunas to, you name it. Everybody has did shows on that. We're syndicated in close to 90 countries. And it's really blown up. It's as well as me doing it once a month. We have the rest of the month is guests, and it's we, like I said, we've had everybody you could probably think of. You just look at our list, and you could see.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned Hot Since 82 because I did send you a Facebook friend request. Are we supposed to call it Meta now, or are we calling it Facebook still? The old guys calling it Facebook and new kids
Ah,
calling
we
it Meta.
we're gonna call it Facebook.
Facebook. But we're friends with a very, very notable DJ that when anyone ever asks me the experience I had with this one DJ, what was my most memorable show, we're friends with this cat. He goes by the name of Anthony Atala.
Oh, Anthony, I love Anthony.
Anthony, yeah, he came by our studio back in 2013, when we were doing the show. And there's a funny story that we had on how we actually first met. I met him at an after party 2 days before he was supposed to come on our show, and I didn't know who he was. And he was playing this small little intimate after party gathering, came by at like 2 in the morning, 1:32 in the morning after he did the set. And I was just dancing and rocking out. And then he shows up to my studio the next day or 2 days later, and he walks through the door and he goes, "You." I go, "No, you. You're the DJ from Friday night." He goes, "Dude, you're the dancer that was dancing next to me all night long from Friday night." And we didn't know each other. It was just like crazy. And he gets up on the stage, starts doing the show, and he drops this Hot Since 82 track, Hit and Run. And I come up from behind the studio, from behind my decks, and I jump up on the stage and I put my phone on the decks. I'm like, going to take a picture of the song. And he goes, "If you want it, I'll just give it to you, man." But it was my first introduction to Hot Since 82 with Anthony Atala. And I see you play with him quite frequently.
Yeah, I'm actually doing his Incorrect Boat Party out in Chicago in August. We just did Tampa together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, known Anthony for a while. We've done some stuff, mutual stuff together as far as playing together. But yeah, it's a good kid.
So, cities that you play, you mentioned a few there. You're in Miami, you're going up to Chicago. You're in Miami now, but New York seems to be your favorite town. Is there any other favorite city that you have other than New York City to play in?
I love Miami. This is my home as well. I've been coming down probably. From the Warsaw days when I was a resident here. This is dating back a long time. And Nocturnal, obviously being at Space for 8 years, a resident there. This is like my home. It is my home. I live here as well, so I love the people, love the crowd. It's a little different than New York, different vibe here, but it's still great. Chicago is great, DC is great, West Coast, LA, San Diego, San Francisco, love Canada. Toronto's great. I just played out there a few weeks ago. Vibes really tremendous. People are awesome. Yeah, there's so many different cities. really good suits.
I've heard that Tulum is becoming the new Ibiza. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't go that far. Tulum is cool. I haven't played it. I mean, I obviously played, other cities in Mexico. But I actually went there on vacation. Um, I mean, it's cool. It's nothing like Ibiza, personally. For me personally, like I didn't. The parties are cool. They're a little more intimate. Ibiza's, even though it's an island, there's a lot of massive venues where in Tulum, I mean, maybe what, 500-600 capacity venues, whereas in like Ibiza you have thousands.
Yeah.
I don't think you can compare.
And if you had to choose, and I know this one of these is in your own backyard, but if you had to choose between Winter Music Conference / Ultra, I know they're separate now, but they're both in Miami, or ADE, which one would you choose to go to and why? If you
Um,
had only one to go to.
I'm biased because I'm American, but I mean, I've been doing so many events during my career, during music conference, and massive ones, and some of our biggest ones. Get Wet, the pool party. I mean, we've done Transmit showcases, events at Space years back when I was a resident there. Nocturnal. I did a 22-hour set during conference. For me, there's no comparison. It's a little different. Others might say 80 because it's if maybe they're based out in Europe and they prefer that European vibe. But for me, will always be music conference / ultra.
Yeah. It was interesting. I think it was 2009. I went to my first Winter Music Conference, and it's where I actually met Dave Dresden for the first time. I was interviewing with Sarah. Do you know Sarah Cooper? Uh,
She's a PR girl,
yeah,
right?
yeah, PR for Carl and Dresden and a bunch of people, and she had set us up with a number of different artists out there. And my first time ever going to Miami was there, and it was a very beautiful town. I loved the vibe and what was going on, but there was just with Winter Music Conference, there was just so much going on at that time. And I think it was at the same time when Ultra was going on at the same time, so it was lots of partying, lots of
Right.
fun. But I want to know something about. Tell us, our DJ Sessions viewers, tell them about Supreme.
So during COVID, um, obviously, the DJ thing, the clubs, everything was kind of shut.
Mhm.
So being, based out in Miami, I started spending much more time here and being on my, certain friends had yachts and boats, and it's all you could really do is just party on the water, and everybody was doing it during COVID. So I just got to know a lot of people out here in Miami, and then I eventually kind of started a side company, Supreme Charters, um, chartering yachts. I connected with some people that had big boats, and then every time people would come down, they would pretty much hit me up. Um, I was running about 7 to 8 yachts, and then that led me to like pretty much buy my own, which that's where we're at right now. And that's really what I'm doing. Here in Miami, I have my own boat, my own company, and thankfully, it's taken off, and we're in the process of buying another boat. So it's just a growing thing, and it just. And funny thing is, I was never into boats until this happened. My wife we'd always have like an ongoing joke because we live on the coastal side on the water. So she's like, can we just get a little boat and you could just park it right in front of the house? I'm like, no, what boat? I don't even like boats. She's like, what boat? Sure enough, a few years later, not only did I get a boat, but it was a yacht. And for me, it was kind of like a complete, different something different that I wasn't really planning on doing or You know, it's just so it's just so happened due to COVID that I got into the whole boating thing and the whole charters and stuff like that. And it's, thankfully it's taken off for us.
She looks beautiful, and I mean, beautiful, beautiful. People know that I have my boat story. I have my 50-foot houseboat that I fell in love with. I found this boat here in Washington, and
Right.
I do alternative advertising. So you probably see floating billboards out there in Miami, right? You've seen those?
Uh,
Are they out there that much anymore?
no, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah, I'm one of the last companies around that does this, but I had these big inflatable A-frames that you put on the water, and they're great, but I said I want something a little bit more weather durable that I can be out there in the elements. And so I found this 50-foot long houseboat, and I haven't stopped talking about it, which means I'm going to get it one of these days. But then I will enter into the boating life. I won't just have an 8-foot dinghy anymore towing my signs. I'll have this boat and then be able to have people come out and DJ on the boat and charter and,
Right.
do all that fun stuff and enter in boating life. So congratulations on that. What are three major things that create inspiration for you?
Um, I would say going out to different events, checking out the clubs, and seeing what tracks are kind of hitting.
Mhm.
That kind of inspires me to go into the studio and do what I do, as well as playing other tracks while I'm DJing, testing out different stuff, and seeing like the vibe and like the crowd, uh, like what they're feeling, what they're reacting to, and I mean, I would say those are pretty much inspirations. Sometimes I'll even be inspired by just kind of like getting away from the whole music thing and just kind of just going away like on vacation and just sitting on like sitting on the beach or just kind of thinking and just getting inspired and getting all like recharged and ready to come back to work.
Mhm.
So I'd say those are the things that really get me inspired.
What do you think your most fruitful life decision has been?
I gotta say, the boat thing has been great. It is. I mean, the DJ thing. Obviously, I've been doing it for so long, and it's been great. And I'm, I'm thankful and blessed to be doing it for so long and having a pretty good career in doing it and a lucrative career. And I'm still going. But the boat thing has taken off. Like,
Mhm.
you have a good network, you have good people working for you, you have a good product, and that's just goes with everything. Like in life, you, you'll be successful.
Mhm. Do you have any bad habits that are good for your career?
Ah, my bad habits. I mean, true. I mean, I like to drink when I'm playing. It's not the best habit, but it actually, I need to get a little, groove going while I'm playing. So, I mean, so I'll just have some drinks, some vodka shots, maybe some tequila shots, and off we go.
There you go. There you go. Loosen it up a little bit.
Loosen it up, baby.
You have definitely seen the advent of technology change the landscape of the DJ element. I mean, probably going back to vinyl and then
Right.
getting into CDJs and now, flash drives. And now we're even talking, there's cloud computing where you're able to have your deck right there and download the mix right there on the fly or access the cloud. You know,
I can never do that though. That's
if,
I need to DJ. I gotta play. I got CDJs. I mean, I come from I grew up learning on vinyl, so for me, CDJs is my thing. Like I was, I, you could do whatever you want, whether it's vinyl, CDJs, tractor, so whatever. I prefer playing on CDJs because it's the closest thing to vinyl for me. Because to me, that's how I feel more comfortable as I'm feel like I'm still DJing. Like,
Mhm.
you know, com- playing on a computer, most people could do that. On CDJs, not many can.
Mhm. Not many can do it in a moving glass box truck like what we have in the mobile
Oh,
studios. So
yeah.
if you're ever up in Seattle, we'll get you in the back of that. It's pretty awesome. But speaking of technology, it moves kind of fast in DJ land. And if you could think of something that's not on the market today, but in your vision would be really amazing to be on the market, what would that product be?
Oh man, what would that product be? I had to think about that one for a second. Uh, I mean, it's everything's pretty accessible nowadays. I mean, like you said, with the new, like you could just download your mix, or you have the USBs where you don't have to travel with vinyl or a computer bag. You just plug in your USB, plug in your headphones. I mean, it they haven't made it any more easier for you to play music nowadays. When I was growing up, when I first started, and as a matter of fact, I told this story not too long ago to someone. When I first started in the clubs, I used to just trek about 6 crates of records by myself in the beginning. I mean, you can imagine that, back and forth from the club, 6 crates of records, upstairs to the house, downstairs to the car. Now I just grab my headphones, my USB stick, and I'm off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's technology is great. They have made it pretty simple for you and accessible to do what you do.
And you spoke about this earlier that you go out to the clubs to kind of feel the vibe, hear what's going on, and get the sense of what's happening. Is there one type of sound in electronic music that you're really excited about?
No, I've always so I like it all. I mean, obviously tech house, techno house, deep house, whatever. As long as it's good. For me, it's as long as it's good and I'm feeling it. Um, you know, I like it. I'll play it. I'll sign it. I don't really stick to like maybe some of these other labels or some of these other jocks that are like stick to this one sound and just roll with it. Like I don't like to be pigeonholed like just to that one sound. I like to kind of, you know, keep it a like have a variety.
Mhm.
Like and that's how I play as well. Um, so I could, if I'm feeling the crowd, if it's a dark room, I'll play dark techno or if we're at a pool party and I'm doing a pool party, be more happier tech house housey stuff. So
And
keep it like
you recently just did a classics event. Tell our DJ Sessions fans a little bit about how that operates and what that's all about.
so once a year we do a classics event of pretty much the classics that most fans and people came to went to our events for,
Oh,
and they're my interpretation of my classics. They
okay.
might not be someone else's classics, but they're my classics from whether it's a Roxy, Crowbar, Pasha, Space, whatever. Um, those are they might not be a classic to some, but they're a classic to me and to my crowd that are coming to listen to that particular classic for that particular day.
And how long have you been doing that series for?
Oh, we've that's been going on since 2004. We started doing that at Crowbar.
Crowbar.
Actually, yeah, at Crowbar, New York, and there was 2016, I believe. We it was one of our biggest events to this date, and it was one of the biggest events Crowbar has ever had. We did 5,200 people.
Wow.
Actually, sorry about that. 57 in and out of the door. And it was so back in the day, there was a magazine called Club. Systems. It was a pretty big magazine, and they rated that party as like the top 25 party of all time.
Wow.
So
Nice.
it was a big deal. So we kept it going. We still keep it going, and it's always one of our biggest events of the year. Brings out a lot of people that usually don't come out,
Mhm.
or maybe come out, get a babysitter, you know, uh, and bring out the husband and wife, or whatever, or the retiree, and we'll come and just dance for the night.
Nice.
Yeah.
If Hollywood were to make a movie about your life, who
Ah,
would you pick to be the main actor?
wow. I'm going to say Denzel Washington.
Really? Okay. Why would you pick Denzel?
I don't know. I love Denzel. I think he's
Yeah.
he's one of my favorites. I've always been intrigued by his acting and his movies. I'm a big Denzel fan.
Did you see his latest movie? Was it? I don't think it was Othello. What was the title of it?
Mm.
It was one that was done in black and white. I'm pulling it up right now because we got this wonderful thing called the internet. What was the name of it? Come on. Oh, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Did you get a chance to see that one?
I did not.
It looked amazing. I saw a interview with the costume designer for it. It was all done in black and white, and I love black and white as a medium.
Mm.
Always had since I was in film school and college, and the costume designer was talking about how she got to play with so much of the intricateness of the design, and it was done for black and white specifically. It wasn't done like a color production. I just didn't. If you're a fan of his, if you got a chance to check that, I still need to check that one out. But I just
Nah, yeah, I
that's
gotta check it
really
out.
awesome.
I mean, I've seen most of his movies. Like I said, I love his whole like tough guy persona, how he plays all these characters of like just like Training Day. Like he's so like badass, man.
Yeah, yeah. Have you won any awards for over the past 30 years? Do you ever enter into competitions or anything of that nature?
I haven't. I mean, I've been nominated for uh numerous Best DJ awards. This is go dating back. Best Resident Award when I was at Crowbar. I believe it was like 2005 and 2005 or six. But I've never won anything. No, any awards.
And switching topics just really quick here, off of music and DJing and stuff. Is food important to you, and are you a bit of a chef?
Food is very important, and if you speak to anyone that knows me, they'll tell you that I'm a big uh, food connoisseur. I go to different. I love restaurants. I love different food. I I'm a big restaurant guy. A lot of people actually, different DJs, different people always call me for recommendations where from wherever, because I've eaten in a lot of different restaurants all across the world. So a lot of people have always come to me for recommendations on
Mhm.
food. So
Yeah,
I'm a big
that's kind of. I'm a huge foodie myself, and I just had to realize I had to upgrade. It's called the charcuterie board, but I call it the
foodie.
charcuterie board. I saw it on Instagram or TikTok or somewhere out there, and now there's a new one out there, and I got to up my game now. And I'm always trying to do something different with foods. And I'm not a traditional chef, and by any means, but I do like to throw down in the kitchen when I can. Uh,
Mm.
well, back to business though. Virtual reality. When I say virtual reality, what resonates with you?
What do you mean? Like,
Have you looked into doing anything in virtual reality or performing, or did you?
oh, I did streams during COVID. I did streams. I'm not a big streamer. I'll be honest with you. I did them because you had to stay relevant at the time,
Mhm.
um, because clubs were closed and stuff like that, um, and therefore, to me, like, yeah, you had to play the music to be kind of relevant, but it was just truthfully, like after an hour or two, I was just bored. I just staring at the four walls and playing music for nobody. It was just wasn't my thing. I did it again, like I said, because I had to. Um, and but I'm not a big streamer. Like I don't really find anything interesting about it. And I did some cool ones. We did some cool ones with some big productions and stuff like that. But again, I need to feel the crowd. I've always played for the masses. I don't, for me to stand 3, 4 hours in a room by myself, I couldn't do it. Like and now since clubs are back, so it's different. Like, but I mean, to each their own. So it's good for some people, I guess. Some people who don't like to go out to clubs anymore. Maybe they want to catch some music of one of their favorite DJs. Um, they'll watch a stream, or for the underage kid who can't go to the club, they'll watch a stream. Um, so I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's really.
It was one of the most difficult things when we started the show over 12 years ago, that the DJs I were talking, nobody was doing live streaming. And I mean, you might do a radio show, you would probably pre-record that radio show and then submit it in to the station, and then the station would play it. And so it was very hard in those first few years of getting DJs to not just stand there and be boring, like get them to interact, and they could actually see the interaction happening in the chat room, or people talking with them, or all of a sudden their phone starts blowing up because they're like, I'm watching you live right now. And they go, wow, this is something is actually happening here. There's a give and take. But yeah, we've launched 2 virtual nightclubs in alt space that we're really excited to start having. We'll put the live streams in there as another medium. Of course, it won't replace the actual physical nightclub experience.
Right.
But we could take, like last 2 days ago, we were at Aura nightclub here in Seattle, and we set up our camera rig, and we had the DJ playing in Aura nightclub, and I could take that and pump that into our virtual reality nightclubs, and then have people from all over the world be in our nightclub watching this live transmission coming from the nightclub itself.
Right.
Really
That's
awesome.
kind of cool. That's different. Like I don't mean it like that's kind of cool. When I say like, that's a whole different experience, because I'm talking me personally as a DJ type of thing, when I'm comparing doing streams as opposed to live sets.
Yeah.
That's really all I was kind of like
Oh, yeah.
referring to. But that's a cool thing to get, set up a whole thing with at the club, and then getting people from all over the world to kind of like, as you're almost in the club, just kind of like dancing, except not interacting. You're just kind of like watching. What is this? Is that what you?
Yeah, we do it through we use Oculus, the Oculus headsets, and then we go into alt space. We'll be launching clubs in VR chat and other places as well. But we're super excited to start doing things like this interview right now is streaming live in our VR nightclub. And there was a schedule, and it says, oh, Darren's going to be interviewing Boris today. And people could jump in that and kind of go tour the nightclub and mull around and actually meet other people while watching our interview that we're doing right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
pretty cool stuff.
Right.
Speaking of new technologies and big buzzword, about almost a year ago, it started to become a huge buzzword, and it's still there, but it's kind of trickled off a little bit. NFTs. What does NFTs mean to you?
So I'm not really too familiar with them. I mean, it's the paint, the pictures, right? Am I?
It can be pictures. It can be an audio file. It can be a video file. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've asked. I was asked numerous times to do audio files but I wasn't really too like familiar with the NFT thing. But I know it's making a lot of noise and a lot of people are into it. Um, how about for you?
Well, we're closely following it. There is we see it as obviously a way that musicians could earn. What was the term that was used earlier today? You make a record.
You make an exclusive record and you give it to to
Yeah.
the platform, and they basically have it as an exclusive.
Hmm. Well, and then once that transfers, if it transfers again, the artist gets another residual kickback off it. I think it was Garth Brooks back in 90 something. He was one of the big proponents that said, my CD, when they started selling used CDs in the record stores, I don't even remember that whole thing. And they said, well, wait a second, you got the cut from us selling it once. He goes, yeah, but I don't get a secondary cut or a tertiary cut if you sell it again over and over and over again. And he thought that they shouldn't be able to do that. Well, with an NFT, if it sells again and again and again, the artist still gets a percentage of whatever that cut is for forever, which is kind of awesome. Now, of course, if it's a
Right.
collector's and somebody wants to hold on to it, well, then they just got the one time. But if it does pass around, it's really cool. And, I think there's going to be some very awesome things we're going to see. One of the things I thought was cool was there was a group, I can't remember exactly where they're from. I should get this dialed down, but they throw events. And your ticket for the event is your NFT. And as long as you hold on to that NFT, you always have a ticket to go to the event. And then obviously that ticket could transfer to other people and then they could still make residual money. But as that ticket goes around and people say, oh, I don't want to go anymore, let me pass that ticket off, they'll still get their cut when it goes. So
Right.
it'll be interesting for musicians to see how it goes. I mean, what I think you have to get like 1 million plays on Spotify to really see anything come back from that. But as an
Right.
NFT, you could say, okay, well, here's 10,000 limited edition NFTs for $3 a pop or $5 a pop. Buy these and then, push your single out, and you're still getting something 15 years from now. There's still something coming down. The accounting part of it, though, is going to be the interesting one. But from what I hear, it's all once you connect your wallet, your
Right.
Coinbase, whatever, it just automatically will put that money right into there for you. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Well, wrapping things up here, is there anything you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get going, Boris?
Um, hopefully coming to a city near you. Check out my new productions. I got a new Salida coming out with Tom Steffen coming out on Transmit. I got a new saved EP coming out, as well as a whole bunch of other new productions. Um, Supreme Charters, baby. Miami. When you're ready to take on a boat, you come see me.
I'm working with a company that we're looking to partner for ADE this year, but then we're talking the next 2 to 5 years, and they do WMC, they do South by Southwest,
Right.
and they do Sonar and IMS as well. So we'll be down in Miami soon, it looks like, and I definitely want to recommend them to say, hey, let's go contact Boris and do something on some boats.
There you go.
Or I should say yachts. They're not boats; they're yachts.
Up.
I know there's over 50 feet. They are yachts. It's no longer
when you're in Miami, hit me up.
Definitely will, Boris. Definitely will. Where can people find out more information about you and what you got going on?
My Instagram, my Facebook, Twitter, you name it. All social media platforms. Boris Transmit on IG, Boris NYC Twitter, Boris NYC, or Boris Believe in Boris Facebook. You name it.
Awesome. Boris, thank you so much for coming on the virtual sessions today.
Thanks for having me, Darren.
You're welcome. On that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Meta, find us on TikTok, find us on Instagram, find us everywhere too. We're on all the socials, but go to our website, thedjsessions.com, for exclusive mixes, DJ interviews, and more. That's thedjsessions.com. I'm Darren. That's Boris. I'm coming to you from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and he's all the way out in Miami, Florida for the DJ Sessions. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.